6:34, TSN 690. Welcome back to Game Points. I'm your host, Matthew Ross. Mr. Mo Khan is here as well. Marco Polo is on the board. We're here till 8 o'clock tonight. Raceline Radio with Eric Thomas, a live edition coming up after 8. Still to come here on this program, we'll have Ray Kalari, San Francisco Giants scout. And we'll have Jeff Erickson, fantasy baseball guru, giving us some hot list, not list type of players this coming baseball season. Mo, I know baseball is down your depth chart in terms of favorite sports. I'm not saying you don't follow it. I know you're a big Marlins guy. Ridiculous.
I am. I just got myself the new teal hat.
It's going to be an interesting season for those Marlins, so I'm not going to knock you on that. But is there a player or two that are there players or a couple of players here or there that you're really intrigued to see how they'll do this season?
Giancarlo Stanton, how he reacts from his injury from last year, that ugly injury he suffered in Milwaukee when he got hit in the face with the baseball. How will he be? Signs a new long-term deal with the Marlins. Are they going to be a team that can compete in the NL East, given, again, the Nats have a lot of pitching issues with their injuries that they've accumulated? So it'll be quite fascinating to see. I think the Mets will be sneaky good in that division. This could be a three-team race with the Nats, Marlins, and Mets being the best of the three. Braves being up there as well.
All right, we're ready for our next guest here on the program. He was, of course, a Major League Baseball pitcher, spending 3 seasons with your Montreal Expos from 75 through 77. He also won a World Series with the Baltimore Orioles. He was in town this week and today specifically for an event at the Cummings Center in Côte-de-Neige. We welcome to the program Mr. Don Stanhouse. Hi, Don. How you doing?
Hi, guys. I'm doing great.
First of all, thank you so much for taking the time here on the program. When was the last time you think you were on Montreal Sports Radio? It's probably been a while.
Well, let's see. I guess must go back to 1976. I used to set in for Ted Teven once in a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting back there. I stayed here during the winter in 76, 77 before I was traded, and tried to do some things in the community for the Expos back then. And, here I am. It's 40 years since I've been first became an Expo, and 38 years since I threw the first pitch at Olympic Stadium, and I'm back in town promoting the Expos again.
Now, a little bit about your involvement today in this event today, the sports breakfast to benefit the Jewish Center for Seniors at the Cummings Center building today. So many sports icons on hand, and we had our own Mitch Melnick talking to you on stage. That was a lot of fun to listen to. One thing he said, I want to get to this, the incredible list of managers that you played for. It's not even to be believed. I don't even know if there's another Major League player in history who played for such an unbelievable list.
Yeah, it is an interesting list, and actually we needed to go back 3 more. My very first year in professional baseball, I had Billy Herman, again a Hall of Famer, and then the second year in baseball, I had Phil Cavarretta, who was a hitting champion, I think 2 or 3 times. And so as I got to the big leagues, my first year in 1972, I was with the Texas Rangers, and the list of managers from there started with Ted Williams, of course, the great one, and then Whitey Herzog, then Billy Martin, and that's when I was traded to Canada. I came here and had Gene Mock, and then we had the years of rebuilding with a Carl Keel and a Charlie Fox, and then right after that, I think the real building for Expos to make them into a competitive team was Dick Williams. Unfortunately, I got traded from here to the Baltimore Orioles and played under Earl Weaver for 3 total years, and then in free agency, I went on to play with the Los Angeles Dodgers and Tommy Lasorda. So, you would think with that many Hall of Fame managers, they could have done a little bit better for me.
Now, one of the things that was kind of crazy to see were some of the attendees today at the event came up to you to autograph some pictures. Let's just say they weren't team sanctioned pictures or MLB portraits. These were some interesting ones.
Well, a lot of them was a little bit different. Of course, I was a little flamboyant in my playing days, much like Guy Lafleur was too, So some of the stuff that we had, and specifically one of the pictures I think that you got to see was the one of Earl Weaver and I, and it was after a win in the playoffs. And, if you looked at the picture, 1, it's in black and white. 2, we're both drinking a beer. 3, he's eating a cigarette. 4, there's a black and white TV in the back with antennas on it and a Coca-Cola clock that doesn't work. So that's probably not Major League Baseball property, but I think they'll be okay with it.
We're chatting with Don Stanhouse, former Major League Baseball pitcher, including with the Montreal Expos in the mid-'70s. Don, you talked so nicely about how it was to play in Montreal and how you speak to some former Expos who also look back fondly at their time here. What are your thoughts on what you've been reading, hearing about the renewed interest here for Montreal being a Major League Baseball city?
Well, I've found it pretty interesting, and I've kept in touch with Montreal. Cookie Lazarus has been my agent and my friend and part of my wedding going back to 1975, 76. And Cookie and I talk and stay in constant contact. And when he told me they were resurrecting it, when Warren Cromartie was kind of going to be the lead on it, I said, include me if I can help. If I could be instrumental to that, I certainly would appreciate it. I spent a lot of time in the United States with the Texas Rangers alumni in Arlington, Texas, and I travel for the Baltimore Orioles, and I do some work for the Major League Baseball alumni for their charity work. And I can assure you that, the number of players that I come across that have been ex-Montreal Expos, it's part of our conversation. Everyone enjoyed playing in Montreal, and everybody's got a story, of course. So to see it coming, full circle to get back to here, it's kind of like what I said today, that 38 years ago I threw the very first pitch at Olympic Stadium. I'm willing to work with the mayor so he can throw out the first pitch for the new Expos, and let's hope that's soon.
Don Stanhouse joining us here on Game Points with Matthew Ross on TSN 690. In terms of memories playing for the Expos, anything jump out on field?
Well, I mean, not so much, and I kind of mentioned that when I was here, it was kind of the lost years. I think that when I was traded here, they were going to push in one direction. I think it was the last leg that Gene Mauch had to stand on. He'd been here and had tough losing years with some pretty decent players, and then when they tried the transition with Carl Keel and Charlie Fox, and that didn't work. But all of a sudden, you started looking around, and there was some talent there. There was some really good talent that was coming up. And in 1977, when Dick Williams converted me to the short relief pitcher, there I stood on the mound, and when you look around, who's catching? Gary Carter, Hall of Famer. Who's on first base? Tony Perez, Hall of Famer. Who's in center fielder? Andre Dawson, Hall of Famer. And then if you consider the other guys, they were all all-stars in their own right, from Warren Cromartie to left and Ellis Valentine in right, to Larry Parrish at third base and Tim Foley and Chris Spire and Dave Cash. And then, of course, your all-time leading wins pitcher was Steve Rogers. So
right.
You could see that the ingredients were in place to push to become a contender, and I was really excited to be part of it. Unfortunately, I didn't get through the winter, but the Expos went on from there, and I watched them closely.
He is Don Stanhouse, and of course a former Montreal Expo and Major League Baseball pitcher. Don, thank you so much for taking the time this evening. Really appreciate it.
It is my pleasure. I really have enjoyed this day here in Montreal with my wife, Kyle, and again, it was just such a thrill to be at breakfast today for a good cause for Cookie Lazarus. And when you get to sit at a table with hockey royalty, yeah, it's a good trip.
Now, I know you're at the Montreal Baseball Project's Gala next Wednesday night, so I'll probably see you there as well.
Yes, sir, I'll be there. We'll be talking baseball.
I hope so. Thanks so much, Don.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
care.
There you go. That's Don Stanhouse, former Montreal Expos pitcher. This coming in on Matthew Words on Twitter from Jimmy Darda. Stanhouse was one of those junk pitchers I swear anyone could hit, yet he was so effective. Bring back the Expos. It is Game Points here on TSN 690. We'll take a quick break here on the program. Back to some hockey here. Making the argument for someone other than Carey Price to win the Hart. Is that even possible? We'll talk about that next.